When I was around 15, I had a very simple dream. A small one-bedroom apartment. Silence. Tea in the evenings. Books. A peaceful life with no chaos around me. Back then, it felt like the perfect image of adulthood. Comfort, safety, freedom. Now I'm 23. And technically, I have exactly that. I live alone in a rented apartment in another city. But this is not how I imagined getting here. A month before our wedding, my fiancé cheated on me with my older sister. Even now, sometimes I replay that sentence in my head and still can't fully process that it actually happened to me. But the worst part wasn't finding out about them. It was my parents' reaction. When I told them what happened, I expected at least something. Support, anger, basic sympathy. Instead, they basically said, "Come on, let your sister have him." Like we were talking about clothes or makeup, not the man I was about to marry. Something inside me broke permanently in that moment. I packed my things and left. Another city, a rented apartment. A completely new life that I didn't start because I wanted adventure, but because I simply couldn't stay near them anymore. And now I really do have that tea and that silence I dreamed about. Except now the tea barely goes down. I'm heavily relying on antidepressants. I barely talk to anyone. And instead of peace, all I feel is anger and emptiness. I hate all of them. And honestly, the scariest part is that after something like this, I don't even understand how you're supposed to trust people again. Because if the people you loved most can betray you like that, then who exactly are you supposed to believe in?
When I was 22, I got a job at a large company. Almost immediately, I became close friends with one of my coworkers. He was married, 10 years older than me, charismatic, easy to talk to. We spent a lot of time together, joked around constantly, and naturally, people at work started talking. Soon, the entire office was convinced we were having an affair. There were rumors everywhere. People whispered, exchanged looks, even asked us directly, and both of us would just laugh and act like everyone was crazy. We kept saying it was only friendship. Then came the company party. He got drunk and suddenly admitted that the rumors were actually what made him start looking at me differently in the first place. He said he couldn't stop thinking about me anymore and that he had fallen in love with me. After that, everything moved fast. We became lovers. At the time, it felt real, like there was something genuine between us, not just some affair. Then, about 6 months later, I was offered a great position in another city, and I accepted it. He was upset, but he kept calling me. Every single week, he told me he had gotten divorced, told me he missed me, said I was the woman he wanted to be with. He kept asking me to come back. This went on for more than 6 months. And during that time, I started believing him. I convinced myself that maybe this was actually serious, that maybe he really was the right person for me. Eventually, I decided to take the risk. I thought, jobs can be replaced. Maybe feelings like this only happen once in a lifetime. He knew exactly when my flight was arriving. We had talked about meeting, about our future, about finally being together. Then the day came. I landed. And he simply never showed up. At first, I thought something had happened. Then I started calling. Then I just sat there waiting. But no. He disappeared completely. Silence after that. And that's when it truly hit me. Because in one moment, I had lost everything at once. The job I left behind, the relationship I believed in, and any understanding of what had actually happened. And even now, I still wonder, what was it? Love? Cowardice? A game? Or was he simply terrified of the reality he spent months convincing me to choose?
Several years ago, my husband had an affair. It was an incredibly painful period for both of us. I won't pretend I handled it perfectly or gracefully. I was hurt, humiliated, terrified of losing my family. But by then, we already had a child, and I could see how deeply he felt the tension between us, even without screaming or open fights. And I chose to save the marriage. I buried my pride and forgave my husband. Not because I forgot. You never truly forget something like that. But somehow, my love for him was stronger than my anger. I never brought it up afterward. Not because I was noble or wise, but because every reminder of that betrayal hurt me more than anyone else. Almost immediately after we reconciled, I became pregnant. We had a beautiful daughter, the little girl my husband had always dreamed about. The only thing I insisted on was her name. I wanted to choose it myself. And for a while, it felt like life was slowly becoming normal again. Then one day, I opened my husband's email account. He had asked me to look for a message from business partners. While searching, I noticed a familiar name, the woman he had cheated with. I opened the email. Inside were photos from her daughter's birthday party. And I didn't need any DNA test to understand the truth. That child looked exactly like my husband. The eyes, the nose, the smile, everything. I still can't fully describe what happened to me in that moment. It wasn't ordinary heartbreak anymore. It felt like falling into some endless black hole inside myself. Then I noticed something even worse. The little girl was only 3 months older than our daughter, and she had the exact name my husband originally wanted for our child. After that, something inside me stopped functioning normally. A month later, I found out I was pregnant again. We had planned the pregnancy, and it should have been joyful news. I even thought maybe this baby would help pull me out of the darkness. But at 14 weeks, I lost the baby. And after that, everything completely collapsed. It's been 3 years now. And I still feel like I'm living on autopilot. My husband occasionally sees that little girl. He cares about her, worries about her. Rationally, I understand that the child is innocent in all of this. But my heart still hurts. Because that child is a living reminder of the betrayal of the only man I ever truly loved. He was my first man, my only one. And now I know one thing for certain. Betrayal doesn't disappear with time. Some wounds never fully heal.
I met a guy and fell for him almost instantly. It felt intense, overwhelming, like suddenly everything in my life finally made sense. A month later, I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, it just happened. And instead of panicking, I was happy. He asked me to move in with him. We started building a life together, talking about the future. I truly believed we were becoming a family. Then, when I was 5 months pregnant, everything collapsed. I found out he was still in love with his ex, and that he started dating me to get back at her. Apparently, they had a huge fight back then. He stormed out, angry and hurt, and then he met me. What makes it even worse is that his ex was pregnant at the time too. He just didn't know. She had an abortion without telling him. And now they're back together. Officially, he denies it, but I'm not stupid. I know when he's with her. I know when he's lying. I see the way he hides his phone, the way his expression changes when she texts him. And one day, I read their messages. That was the worst part. Because he never talked to me the way he talks to her. Never that gently, never that lovingly. The wallpaper on his phone is a picture of them together. Not us. And I feel like an unwanted person in my own life. At one point, his ex told me directly that he only loves her, that I was just the girl who accidentally got in the middle of their story and ruined everything. And the worst part is, sometimes I think she's right. Because as painful as it is to admit, I can clearly see who he keeps choosing over and over again. And I'm the one left alone. Sitting at home, heavily pregnant, about to give birth, with no idea what I'm supposed to do next. Because in just a few days, I'll have a child with a man who seems to have loved someone else the entire time.
My father left us when I was 11 years old. There was no huge fight, no dramatic goodbye, not even a conversation. He just disappeared. My mother and I were in the hospital at the time. When we came back home, all of his things were gone. He had quietly moved out while we were away. He left us in a rented apartment, with debts, without any explanation. I still remember the feeling. When you're a child and don't fully understand adult problems yet, but you still know something terrible has happened, like someone erased you from their life without hesitation. Eventually, my mother and I somehow survived it. It was hard, really hard, but we managed. Meanwhile, his life only got better. Now he owns 2 houses, land, a large apartment in a great neighborhood, an expensive car. a new family. He sends his wife and stepdaughter on vacations across Europe. France, Italy, perfect photos, perfect life. But somehow, the worst part isn't even that. One day, someone asked him, "What about your real daughter?" And he answered, "I only have one daughter, she's in France." I honestly don't know what hurts more, the fact that he left, or hearing that. Realizing that he didn't just walk away from the family, he completely erased me from his version of reality. We survived without him. I grew up. My mother made it through. We didn't fall apart the way he probably expected. But I will never forgive him. Because some things stay with you forever, even when life moves on.
We've only been married for 6 months. And our relationship felt like one of those romantic stories people talk about for years. He moved to my city for me, left his old life behind, started over completely just to be with me. I truly believed it was real love, deep, mature, mutual. We both seemed happy. Then a few days ago, something inside me pushed me to check his phone. I still don't fully know why. I didn't even have specific suspicions, just a strange feeling I couldn't explain. And within minutes, my entire reality collapsed. It turned out that throughout our entire relationship, he had still been involved with the woman he dated before me, a relationship that lasted 10 years. Every single day, he texted her telling her he loved her. Every day. He visited her on weekends multiple times while telling me he was busy with work or other plans. He even invited her to Spain for vacation. And the worst part was realizing that everything had been real for her too. She wasn't the other woman. She wasn't some casual affair. She believed she was the woman he loved. I found her number and called her. It was probably the strangest conversation of my life. We both cried on the phone together, because at some point we both realized we had been lied to at the exact same time. She didn't know about me. And of course, I had no idea about her. There's something deeply devastating about realizing that while you were building a marriage with someone, calling him your husband, trusting every word he said, somewhere else there was another woman hearing the exact same "I love you." And now I honestly don't know who the man I married really is.